5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Go guys, go, come on! Push it, guys! Let's go! Let's go, Drew!
Drew and Brian, you are champions today.
Don't jump down. I heard that's a bad idea.
Hey, Autumn Athletes, Larry Sorensen here, and today I'm going to talk with Drew Bell and find out what makes him an Autumn Athlete that's not done yet. Before we get started, please remember to like, subscribe, ding that bell for notifications. Don't forget to visit automathletesndy.com for all your cool NDY merch and gear. All right. Drew, thanks so much for joining us today. Why don't you start us off with a little introduction?
My name is Drew Bell. 59 years old, going to turn 60 in 2 weeks. I've got 4 children, and my wife, as I affectionately call her, Miss America. I started running on Panama City Beach when I was about 4 or 5 years old. I've been competitive running 54 years old. 54 years. I've never stopped. I've never got tired of it. I never will. It's what I do. I just retired coaching from James Clemens High School, where I coached high school track 37 years. And I'm working at a company called Running Lane. And I'm also teaching in a program called Rise Academy, which helps kids that are behind in high school.
Well, great to meet you. All right, we're going to talk in detail about what you're doing now, but we want to get a little history on your athletics. You mentioned that you've been running for basically your whole life. So tell us a little bit about more detail about what you did in your early days leading up to where you are now.
I just like the freedom of running, chasing seagulls on the beach, getting out on the trails there in Gatlinburg, Tennessee with my grandfather, just always running. It just gave me freedom. Got in field day with one in construction, paper star ribbon, and it started everything. I found out in the 6th grade there was a thing called road racing and started doing it. And then we moved a lot of times, about 12 times while I was growing up, and it helped me fit in. That's what I did. I ran everywhere I went. Got to go to Ole Miss. I wasn't there a real long time. I got run over by a car in 1984 and 15 months in and out of the hospital. And I went to the University of West Florida. I was on their first year program. They took a chance on me. I was their first academic All-American and All-American. And I've just been running.
So did you play any other sports of any kind, or you just stuck to running?
I did play football in high school, outside linebacker and all. And, I tried baseball. I wasn't good at it. Swimming, I wasn't good at it. I tried a lot of things that I wasn't good at. Running was just natural.
You mentioned getting hit by a car. That's not something you hear every day. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that, what happened, how you recovered from it, how it affected your running and so forth.
We were training as a team there at Old Miss, and, a green Impala hit me going 50, 60 miles an hour and broke my back at L4 and L5. Did not have to have surgery. It fused naturally, but, knee surgery, both Achilles, a lot of facial work. I had some internal bleeding and my leg swelled way up. That's after I'd left the hospital and they didn't know that. And my pain tolerance is real high because they had to go in without any pain medicine, and I'll never forget that.
You said that took you almost 2 years to recover from that. And then how long did it take to kind of get back to where you were running wise?
Well, I would sneak out of the athletic dorm. My roommate would push me down to the field house there at Ole Miss, and I'd strap my feet on exercise bike and pedal all night long. And stitches were getting broke and they were asking questions, but I got to train and I wanted to be back so bad. Yeah. And everybody said never walk again, but I just believe we've got a creator that's going to take care of us. His timing's right.
So were you able to get back in time to still compete at college, or did it have to wait until you got out of college too?
I went down to the University of West Florida and was their on the cross country indoor and outdoor team, and made it to nationals in cross country and indoor and outdoor. And we found out there was a thing called college marathon, because I'd run New York City the year before, and I got the 50th spot. They take the top 50 runners, and I was the 50th one in. So I rolled the dice like always in my life, and I went out and ran with the two Native Americans from Oklahoma. Their names were, still remember that, Nelton Begay and Danny Charlie. And I had long hair then too, and stayed with them and made my first All-American. I finished 7th in the nation.
For your college years, you kept running, you said. Now, you have obviously the huge setback with the car accident. Have you had any other injuries along the way that you've had to overcome, or has anything kind of crept back in from that accident in later years?
It's constant hamstring tears of late. I was very disappointed after having such a good April, where I ran a 37:24 10K and a 37:10, which would crush any national meet. And I came into USATF. I shouldn't have gone to a running camp. I work at Brevard Distance Running Camp for 30-something years, and I ran too much up there. I love the mountains. And first race shifted from 6 minutes down to 5:30 for the second mile, and my hamstring tore. So battled through the 8 races in 4 days with the torn hamstring, still made All-American and everything, but I was supposed to win those meets.
Yeah.
So it took me 11 weeks after that to get ready for what we just did.
Yeah.
And that required a lot of different type stuff that I've never done.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about your training workouts, and we'll talk about how you did that recovery. But first, you've mentioned about some of your successes, but give us some highlights, because your resume is long. So give us, some of your top successes in your mind, both with your performances and then maybe even with your coaching.
87 started things off in the marathon and the academic All-American. And then we found out a thing called Masters Track and Field, USATF, me and my training partner, Storm Hardy. And we went 2003 and 2005 in very neat places. One's Hayward Field, Eugene, Oregon, Land of Prefontaine. And I actually won the cross-country race on Preece Trail, which was something kind of cool to me. And then we went in 2005 to Hawaii, and it's the only track that's rainbow colors. Every lane's a different color of the rainbow. And I fooled around and somehow won the 10K on the track there. And then I got really busy with coaching. That was my passion. I mean, I love kids, working with 100 to 200 kids a year. And I went into a school at 89, and they hadn't won a state championship since 1971 in any sport. And we brought the state championship of cross country to home at 1993. It got so big that they would have, basically kind of a parade and pep rallies before we went off to meets. And there was always newspaper and television crews. You could see the lights in the dark when we were coming home, because for 8 years in a row, we were state champs or state runner-ups down there. And it was special. In 96, we won guys and girls in cross country, and we're only one of 10 schools to ever do that in the state of Florida. It's hard to do. And I thought I was basically going to let coaching go. And I got a call from Alabama, and it was hard to say no, because there we were by Oak Mountain State Park at Pelham High School, ideal place to be successful again. And we continue with that. So, I mean, the career has been blessed. 10 state runner-up teams, 10 state championship teams, 24 runner-up teams.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay,
I missed my running. So when I finally retired from coaching this year, it opened the door for me to get back in there.
And so how have you been doing lately with your own running?
Oh, it's fantastic. I've got to watch it, though. I think I'm still young. I realize that the 10 years of 100 miles a week, that's what I tried to always do. I scaled it back to 70. I like to do 10 weeks of 70-mile base with a lot of elevation, building up to 3,000 feet of elevation a week, and some pretty intense go-to workouts. But when I got hurt this last time, I started incorporating biometrics. Garmin is a great thing, you know, and when it says you're ready to go, I even added in an extra day of recovery. Did a lot of strength training, got back on plyometrics, stuff I hadn't done in years. My balance was terrible. I got these huge rubber bands and did all those drills. And really, I only ran 3 days a week. I didn't want nobody to know what I was up to, but it would be a long run. My go-to workout is 3x5K. Where you start the 5K at about 6:30 pace, 6:20, 6:10, and then 5 minutes easy. Then again, 6:30, 6:20, 6:10, 5 minutes easy, 6:30, 6:20, 6:10. Pretty intense right at age 60. But that's my go-to workout. I like doing some 400s and 800s, but I don't do those intervals really hard. I really keep them around 5K to 10K pace. Gotcha. But my go-to workout on the trails, like I say, I have 3 crazy runs. One is Wade Mountain. I just last Sunday I won the Wade Mountain 10K trail race because nobody's going to beat me on that trail. I won the overall thing, and they're all shocked. I thought you just came back from Worlds. Well, I did. But that course is 10 miles long. It starts at one trailhead, goes all the way up the mountain to the top, all the way down to the bottom of the mountain. You're at the 5-mile mark. You turn around and you bring it back home. And it is some intense climbing. I wouldn't put a billy goat on that. But I love that run. I love Oak Park Challenge Run. That's a 7.5 miler. Also climbs right around 1,500 feet. And those are really my 2 trail runs that I alternate.
Obviously, times are a little different when you're doing some of those steep climbs, but what are some of your PRs as far as your cross-country runs, your normal cross-country runs, maybe even from back when you were younger, and then versus what you're doing now?
Cross-country runs when I was younger, you're talking right around 15s, in there. And even the first time when we went to Eugene, Oregon, in that cross-country race, I was still able to run. I guess I was around 35, 36 years old, still able to run right at 17 flat, and this year in the trail race out at Utah, it was rugged, and it was really intense hot, and it had flooded out the night before, which they don't get rain out there really. So, I hit the ground a couple of times in that race, and that was more like, that was a 5K, and that was more like 24 minutes. Oh, but, wow. Trail running is trail running. I really don't look at times in that at all. I look at place.
So you mentioned, your go-to workout as far as running, and you did mention a little bit of cross training. What do you do for cross training, the weight room, anything else? How do you prepare?
So I really like the dumbbells, and the Bulgarian squats are tremendous. I like driving my knees straight up and then swinging with a dumbbell in each hand, my hands up like in a victory, and then backwards lunges with that. Anybody can find those, and that's what I do with our team too, as distance runners. If you look for dumbbell running workouts, they're all on YouTube. And what I like doing is not doing the same thing each time. I have literally about 35 videos I've gathered up, and it randomly goes through. I just work out for 30 minutes. Wherever I get to, I pick up the next day on the next video or whatever it is. It's kind of like a race. I don't want to get stuck in a rut doing the same thing.
How do you fuel yourself? Tell us a little bit about, your diet plan.
Well, I never eat a full. This has been a 5-year go at that. Even from 2 years ago, I'm right at 59 pounds lighter, and it's not a number I look at on the scale, but I never eat a full meal. I'm high about eating protein. I'll have trail mix, not with the sugary stuff in it, but real solid trail mix. I'll grab a handful of it about every 15 minutes of the day. It might gross some people out, but I like sardines, Me and sardines are really good friends. I start the day off with a thing of Greek yogurt, and then I pour granola flakes on it, and I have a muscle milk. And between all of that, you're already hitting at 100 grams of protein. And I try to do that intermittent fasting where, I try to keep all my food in between 11 a.m. and about 5 p.m. And it just works for me. I mean, sugars, try to eliminate every sugar I can, and focus on the protein, and the carbs will naturally get there and stuff. But broccoli, salmon, chicken breast, trail mix, sardines, that's just kind of what I live on.
So obviously that's a pretty tight window for intermittent fasting. What's your sleep schedule like? Because that's a lot of time that you're not eating, and that can be difficult, obviously, if you're not sleeping much. But how many
It's
hours
gotten
of
a
sleep do you get a night?
Yeah, it's got a lot better without coaching 200 kids and doing entries. But I do get 8 to 9 hours sleep every night. I will not negotiate on that. I will not negotiate on the nutrition. I will not negotiate on the sleep schedule. And I will not negotiate on my faith. That's going to happen 3 times a day for about an hour at a time.
At nearly 60, you've been an athlete your whole life, but what motivates you? Because you're still driving hard.
People like Tony Eccles, people like Scott Soriano that I'd never beat. I read about his name, and Timothy Veal and all these guys. And Scott Soriano from Colorado, we roomed at the last meet together. And I finally beat him in that 800. And he's been telling me for years, it's in you. You can do this. And I have that effect on people too. I mean, everybody we see, all these new people, we're so excited all to tell them exactly what we do, and I tell them, hey, I work at a shoe store. I can get you some help on your shoes and nutrition. We're always trying to help each other up. There's no negativity. There's no bitter rivalry. My passion is to get back and see my running family as many times as I can, and just to help the new people. I quit coaching high school, but my master's team. I didn't know I was going to coach again, but I'm up to 12. And out of my new people, Stephen Decker won the national championship for me. Miss Gwinetti won the national championship of the hurdles. Vivian won it in the mile and the 10K. I mean, I had like 8 people in their first, outing winning nationals and stuff. I got a gift for that because I can get all that negativity out of somebody and get the best out of them. I always have been able to. So I'm going to always keep doing that. I'm traveling for other people. It's more about the other people.
So how do you do that? Is it all just local people, or do you have a online presence that you do it remotely? How do you coach your folks?
Zanetti will set up her tripod. I've even got some Florida high schoolers that I'm starting to coach too. They're small schools, and just have a moderator, and I individualize everything. Every runner's unique. And I'm so happy with a couple of my new kids that have come from like 20 minutes to 17:30 in one season with me. And it's been really good. My last year coaching high school, I did have the number 2 runner in all of the state, one of the best in the country. Luke Albertson ran a 14:35 for me. That's a pretty stout 5K in high school. And we were second in the Nike Nationals in the 4x800 running we ran 7:41 this year. And those 4x8s, I've always had a knack with those 4x8s, because top 2 teams in the state of Alabama, Smith Station and James Clemens, were 1 and 2 in those events. Yeah. So I don't know. It's going to grow. I'm not advertising. I don't do that. I don't have a website. I pray on it, and God sends me who I need to help. And that's the way I really believe.
So I'm going to give you an opportunity to help my entire audience right now from your coaching's perspective. So give us, maybe the top 1 or 2, 3 things, particularly more for, masters type folks that, want to either get into running, or maybe they've started running and they could improve. What would you kind of suggest to folks out there to just better their running game?
If it's masters runners, I would start on soft surface. Make sure you have some really good shoes. I'm not selling shoes tonight. But make sure that you don't increase that 10% rule is basically true, and make sure that you have cross training in there. I would only run if I was a master starting out probably 2 days a week, but make sure all your flexibility gets up to par, balance. And, I didn't mention the box jumping a while ago, but those little movements like that, when we quit using those movements younger as kids, it's hard to get that back. And it's the same thing. Twice a week, just go out and sprint. Just literally go out and sprint. Go to a park or go out your front door and just sprint for 10 seconds. Walk 30 seconds. Sprint it for 10 seconds. If you don't use that speed, it will go away.
So if you could, chat with your younger self, I like to ask this question for maybe younger people that might be watching this. If you could go whisper in your ear when you were whatever, 20, 25, 30, what have you learned that you would go back and tell yourself?
Never run on a road where there are cars. I'd not say that. All the kids I trained, I would never let them do that. We bust out to the trails every single day, or we went out to Palmer Park where our home cross country course is, or we ran on the track. But avoid pavement. Pavement was laid by men for cars. Soft surfaces where the greatest runners in the world really train. Yeah, you can't go as fast, but all those roots and rocks and uneven terrain, you will be stronger than you ever could be in a weight room. And then still supplement with that, where your weakness is. Yeah, that's what I would tell my younger self. And get a coach. That's really what I would tell my younger self.
Kind of in general terms, if you could bottle your overall secret to health and fitness at this point, what would the ingredients to that recipe be?
Start the day off positive, whatever your faith is, or whatever your positive sayings or prayer, whatever it is for you. I put my shoes under the bed. And the reason I do that, I got to get on my knees to get them. And so that, for me, you might be meditating. I'm going to be praying, but that's how I start the day off. So get off of social media, get off of that. Hide in the dark, do your work, spend your time around positive people constantly. Everything positive. I don't live like the rest of the world lives. I really don't. Be disciplined, be dedicated. Motivation can only carry you so far. Discipline of doing it every single day, what the plan was. I've been at it since December 8th. My daughter, I fly out tomorrow to go to Miami. My daughter's getting married, on Saturday. There'll be no running. There'll be no talking of running. You know what I'm saying? It's time for a break, but discipline. Yeah. Discipline's more important than motivation.
So what's on the horizon for you? What, you got any big meets coming up, big races?
I want to definitely go to South Korea. Tony and I both were talking about that. We want to go to South Korea in August. That's for sure. I'm going to bite off. I'm either going to totally focus on the mile and do something unheard of, or I'm going to maybe go 24-hour races, try some of those. I'm going to do something different. Instead of having the range of 800 all the way up, like everybody knows me, God, you run it all, trails, road, cross country. I do, and track, but I want to specialize in something this year, I think.
If you go after the mile, let's say, give us an idea. What's in your mind? You must have a number in your mind.
For sure, sub 5 minutes, but I still think sub 450's in there.
Yeah.
If I get rid of all this other mileage and trail, you got to be you can't play with the mile. You've got to be specifically a miler if you're going to go after that.
Yeah.
I know how Luke and all the ones that I've had of late, what we've done, and they can run 405s and 408s and 409s in high school, then I surely, to goodness, can get under 5 or 450.
Well, we look forward to following you and seeing how you do with that. All right. So, Drew, I want to thank you so much for coming out and telling us what makes you an autumn athlete that's not done yet. I'd like to close up here today with giving you the floor to just give us some final thoughts.
When I can't run, I'm sure you've noticed in the room, and as I've told you, there's this game called Miss Pac Man. And so when I can't run, if I'm injured, that's what I'm doing. You can still find a way to race. And I'm claustrophobic, and it's just like New York City Marathon. Everything's trying to catch you, and that game's really racing because I see it probably 30, 45 seconds ahead of what's going to happen. So just have fun in life. Be nice to everybody and have fun.
I like it. All right. Well, there you go, folks. Drew Bell. He is definitely an autumn athlete that's not done yet. Remember, keep moving, set your own goals, and train hard to achieve them. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.